pretty magical. Oklahoma is an amazing place to visit in July. Actually, we've had a couple of hot years out there, and a couple of years ago, Arlo Guthrie was out there, and he was on stage, and people had been complaining about the heat. And he said, well, you know, my dad was born in July, but he died in October. There's a lot of people in this town that didn't like my dad, so maybe we should celebrate this thing in October, and then everybody would be happy. But they're keeping it in July. This year it's actually, I think it's just before his birthday. I think it's the 11th of July to the 13th, and Woody's birthday was on the 14th of July. But I had an interesting experience one year when I was there, and this is kind of a story about that, and about a little place there called the Rocky Road Tavern, which has become kind of a place that people hang out after the shows. It's the place where the open stage happens, and it's sort of like the vibe of fried green tomatoes, if you remember that place in that movie. It's kind of like that. This song is a song called Talkin' Oklahoma Hills, and when I got home from the festival after my second year, I had the first part of the story and the second part of the story compartmentalized into two different things. And about 6 months later, I realized they were part of the same song. So this is kind of a little story song. Let me tell you about the last time I was in this town. The town of Okemah, Oklahoma. Now, Okemah just happens to be the town where Woody Guthrie was born, which just happens to be the reason that I was there. Now, it's a small town. It's about 70 miles east of Oklahoma City, on a highway they call Interstate 40, which runs off of Route 66 out of Oklahoma City, which of course is known as the Will Rogers Highway. Now, Route 66 is known as the Will Rogers Highway because Will Rogers was so famous. And both Woody Guthrie and Will Rogers are well known for their great American spirits. In fact, Will Rogers is the most famous Oklahoman in the whole country. And Woody Guthrie is the most famous Oklahoman in the whole wide world. Now, even with this kind of worldwide fame, there are those that claim and insist that Woody was a communist. Well, he would just smile and say, I ain't no communist, but I've been in the red my whole life. It was one of his jokes, but he was known for standing up for the common folks. And there were lots of folks in Okemah, Oklahoma the last time I was there to celebrate Woody's too short of a life and almost too many songs. And it was a hot and a dusty day. And they do have a few of those down there. So I decided to go into town and get myself a cold drink at the only place I knew of in Okemah, Oklahoma to get a cold drink, which was a place called Brick Street, which was this dance hall place where they would have the parties after the festival show. So I drove into town on Woody Guthrie Street, took a couple of lefts until I found myself on a rocky road. But I couldn't find a place to park because there were so many people in town, so I just drove down until finally I found a place to pull in. And so I pulled in and I got out, and as I was getting out of my car, I heard a voice say, "Are you going to Brick Street?" And I said, "Yes." And she said, "Well, if you're going to Brick Street, you can't park there because that's parking for my bar, the Rocky Road Tavern. As you can see, there's so many people in town that there's no place to park, and even if anybody knew where my bar was and wanted to go to my bar, they wouldn't be able to find a place to park, so you're going to have to move it up the road a couple of blocks." I said, "I understand. I'll move my car." I said, but after I do, I'm going to come in your place and have a drink. And she said, well, if you're going to do that, then you don't have to move your car. I said, all right, and I followed Lou Johnson into the Rocky Road Tavern in Okemah, Oklahoma, where she proceeded to buy me a drink. And we had a good visit and a good laugh about how she'd come out to hassle me about parking and then ended up buying me a drink. Oklahoma hospitality. The hassling and the drink. Anyways, we said our goodbyes and I went back to the festival site and played the show with my band. And I've been back to Okemah every year since. So if you're ever traveling through that part of the country, on Interstate 40 off of Route 66 out of Oklahoma City, the Will Rogers Highway, if it's a hot and dusty day, and they have been known to have a few, then go into town. Take Woody Guthrie Street, take a couple lefts until you come to a rocky road. Pull down, pull in, get out, go in to the Rocky Road Tavern and get yourself a cold drink. And when you do, don't forget to raise your glass and say a toast. A toast to Woody Guthrie and the common folks. Way down yonder in the Indian Nation, riding my pony on the reservation in those Oklahoma hills. Oklahoma hills. Way down yonder in the Indian Nation, singing songs for an occupation in those Oklahoma hills. Oklahoma hills. Thank you so much. Appreciate you.